Hello and welcome to the All Things Leanring Podcast, where we share with you valuable skills and insights into what is really working in education. I am your host, Travis Hostetter, the founder and president of 18 Learning and home to the Teacher Masterclass. Welcome to the show. Today's episode is all about how to maximize your time during summer break. Now, this episode isn't strictly for summer break. Any break that you have in a school, this episode can apply and help you maximize that time that you have. Let's give you a little background on who I am first before we dive into it. First, I've worked in education for a little more than 20 years. I've worked in schools all over the world. That includes working in 5 different countries and 4 different continents. I've served as a teacher, athletic director, assistant principal, and principal. And now I work as the president and founder of 18 Learning. What's interesting about working abroad is that most schools actually have around the same break. They have a week off in the fall, 3 whole weeks off during winter break. If you count the weekends, it's really about 3.5 weeks off. A week off for spring break, and then 8 weeks off for summer. So wherever you are in the world, for most places in international schools, those are the same breaks you're always going to get. Now I'm sharing this with you because breaks was a big part of how we worked. When you have 3.5 weeks off for winter break, you want to maximize that and use that time well. If you lived abroad, quite often you're going to be traveling back home or to another country. But if you didn't plan for how you're going to use those breaks well, oftentimes you came back feeling exhausted, not rested, and not ready. So whether you are in the US or somewhere else, you have a break coming up, we want to make sure that you are able to maximize that time that you have. So what do you want to do during your break? Let's think for a minute and kind of have an idea of the purpose of why we want to have a break and what you want to accomplish during that time. For many of us, we simply just want to have as much rest as possible. You're thinking about having a drink by the pool, going to the beach, maybe skiing, maybe having some time out in the mountains somewhere, going hiking, or just laying around the house and picking up your favorite book. No matter what you want to do, whether it's rest or if your goal is to work, you have a lot of things to complete. You need to be productive. It could be you want to be really efficient with your time. You want to make sure you get as much done as you can in the least amount of time as possible. You could be looking to spend a lot of time with your family during the break. That's something I always aim for each of our breaks. But whatever it is that you want, the goal is for you to be in the driver's seat of how you spend your time during your break. If you don't design it and plan it yourself, most likely other things are going to pop up and plan it for you. And then when your break is over, you're left looking back thinking, oh, I can't wait for next break. I hope I get to do the things I really want to do then. So we don't want that to happen to you. Don't want you to have that feeling of regret. We want to make sure you maximize that time, whether it's a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months, however long it might be. So here are the steps that you should be considering when you're thinking about how you can maximize your time during your break. The first one, make sure you know your goal for work and for downtime. You may be thinking, hey, it's my break. I don't want to work at all. If you can do that, fantastic. Enjoy that. Embrace that. Don't feel compelled to work if you don't have to. Kind of plan out what it is you're hoping to accomplish over these weeks, months that you have. And go ahead and begin blocking out your calendar first. It could be, hey, my family and I are going for a beach vacation for these 2 weeks. Put that on your calendar. Block it out so that nothing else will interrupt it. That way, when an opportunity comes up for summer school or some kind of training or PD over the summer, you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I already have something scheduled that week. I'm not able to make it. So put those big rocks in first, your top priorities in first, and go ahead and block out that calendar so that you know exactly when you want to have time for you, your friends, and your family. This also makes it easier to say yes to other things if that's something you want to do. But knowing what your boundaries are first are very, very important. Next, as you begin blocking out your calendar for vacation time, think about other times you want to block out as well. You don't want to say, hey, I have 8 weeks off and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, so I have 6 weeks, I'm just going to do whatever that happens. That's okay. You don't have to have those all planned out, but I would suggest you still block those weeks out as being unavailable. That way you have control over your calendar and people can't contact you and schedule time with you if you use a scheduling link. It just shows that you're simply unavailable. Again, the goal here is that you are able to be the master and controller of your own time, of your own schedule, so that you're maximizing your time. So block out your calendar as much as you possibly can, and also block it out when you are going to work. If you're going to say, hey, I've got summer school the first 2 weeks, or the last 2 weeks, or I'm leading this workshop, I'm going to this training, or I'm traveling here for this reason, put that on your calendar and let that be your guide. Your next step is to make sure that you know when you are available. If you are a school leader and you know you have to be available for meetings, you're interviewing teachers still, you're hiring, you're working on scheduling, you're leading summer school, pick and set out the times that you know you will be available. So if step one is to know your goal overall and schedule out your downtime, step two is to know when you are available and when you actually can meet with people, when you can respond to emails. So having that carved out already gives you permission to know that, hey, this week is my downtime week. I'm not touching email. I'm going to step away from it. Next week, I'm actually going to be working for 2 days or 1 day next week, and so I will respond and check emails on those days. This leads us to our next step. Set boundaries from when you will be communicating. As a former principal, I'd always put in my email and autoresponder that, hey, I am available and I will be communicating on Tuesdays. I'll be checking my emails on Tuesdays during the summer break. The other days, though, I will not be checking my email, so you may have to wait a few days. In fact, if you hang on in just a minute here, I'll share with you the auto response that I always enjoyed using. But block out for yourself to say, these are the times and days that I know that I will be meeting or I will be available to conduct business or do communication for my job. Not all of us have the luxury of being free for an entire summer, an entire break. But if you put it down and coordinate it down to a single day or single times, let's say, Thursday mornings between 8 and 10, whenever that administrative assistant gets an email or a phone call, they know when they can contact you and when you're available and when you are not. That next step I kind of foreshadowed a little bit is to use an email auto response. This can be your biggest friend. It can also build empathy and care for you as well as the person who's contacting you. So let's say that I am a teacher or a principal at a school called Central Middle School. Here's what my auto response email will look like. Dear friend of Central Middle School, I appreciate you reaching out and writing to me. At present, the school is on a break and I am away from the building. I will be checking my email weekly on Tuesdays and hope to be able to respond to your message around then. I hope that you are enjoying the break with your family just as I am. Sincerely, Travis Hostetter. That simple auto response allows those people who are writing to you and communicating to you via email to automatically know that, hey, I'm not available, or the principal or teacher, whoever it is they're writing to, is not available at any given time. But they're going to aim to get back to me whenever they are checking their emails. And here's the day of week, and you don't have to put the time, but here's the day of week they're checking their emails. That way I can let go of it. I won't be calling and following up, wondering why someone hasn't responded to me in 3 days. It's because I contacted you on a Wednesday, and you're going to write back to me on the following Tuesday. If you need help setting up your auto email response, most people use either Outlook or Gmail. You can go in there. There's a ton of different resources, including online or through YouTube, that can walk you through step-by-step how to set up that automatic email response. And you can also set up when it begins and when it ends. I generally use the same auto response for each of my breaks. That way people know that I'm not available. If it's just for a single week, oftentimes I don't check email, or I'll say I'll be checking email on the Sunday evening before we return. All right, the next step for you to have a successful summer break or any summer break is to delegate responsibilities. This doesn't mean you take all the things that you have to do and put them on other people. You already know that. But it also means that not every single thing has to fall on your shoulders. Now, if you're a classroom teacher, you might feel this way a little bit more than you would as a school leader. You might have certain responsibilities you have to take on. They're just yours, and you can't help that. But if you are a school leader, if you have responsibilities outside of the classroom, there's a good chance that there are other people who can help you with those responsibilities. For example, summer school is a classic example there. If you are the principal or an assistant principal and you have to lead, or somebody has to lead summer school, you can begin working on who is covering which task. Who's in charge of attendance, who's in charge of discipline, who's in charge of communication, grade checking, all those things. You can create teams and pods of people who will be available to help you, support you, and having a great summer school experience. It doesn't have to be you all the time. If you are away from campus, if questions come up, you can always delegate those to your administrative assistant. Quite often, those people are very knowledgeable. Now, they shouldn't be making decisions without you, but they can inform others about the decisions you've already made or point them to a policy or practice that you already have in place. Don't feel like you have to be the one person to do it all. You don't have to have the banner in your hand or the flag in your hand and go marching all the time with it. You can delegate those responsibilities and let things kind of go quietly over the summer while you rest and recover. Now we have 2 steps left, and this next one is probably the most important one. Everything else we've talked about leads up to this point, which is helping you to focus on your real goal for the summer. And hopefully one of those goals is your own health and wellness. I have the luxury and joy of coaching about 50 school administrators from the assistant principal role up to superintendent every year. And when I ask them, how are your teachers doing? How are your staff doing? I get one answer pretty much every single time. And the word I hear is overwhelmed. We know our teachers are exhausted. We know our parapros are exhausted, our counselors, our admin, the librarian, the tech and media people, the groundskeepers, everybody is exhausted. We work so hard for those 10, 11 months, and now we have a little break to rest and recover. I hope that you are able to schedule out time so that you can actually recover and feel better going back into the school year. And the big way to do that is to focus on your own health and wellness. The first bit I'm going to suggest to you here might be the hardest one for you, but I hope you take it seriously and take it to heart. Go with or create a digital detox plan. When you're working at school, you're checking your phone, your email, your messages all day long, especially if you have students that are older who can communicate with you directly, or if you work with really young kids where parents could be communicating with you at any given time about any reason whatsoever. If you're an administrator, you can feel sometimes like you are in an urgent mode all the time. There's always huge problems to solve. It's triage all day, it feels like. Even in the evenings, oftentimes feels like it's triage and there's too much going on. Create a plan that you kind of require yourself or give yourself permission to take your personal devices and put them away when you're around other people, such as friends and family. That means that your phone, plug it in, leave it plugged in at the wall, don't touch it. The same for your smartwatch, your tablet, your computer, your laptop, all those things. Leave them plugged in when there are other people around. If you need to give yourself permission certain times of day, maybe for an hour or two to check in on things, that's okay. What we don't want, though, is our summer to fly by because we are disengaged with the people around us. We're disengaged with our own feelings and our own experiences because we are engaging in that cycle of entertainment, of stress, of communication, of being on call and on demand all the time. So create that digital detox plan that will allow you to put your devices away, to focus and be present and slow down. It's amazing how different the day will go when you don't have a device in your pocket or on your wrist. Second, create a daily routine for mindfulness and meditation. As a religious person, I wake up every morning and I like to read from my scriptures. It helps me grow. It helps me to focus. It helps me to pray and to know that I'm not the biggest thing in this universe. There's other things more important here than me. It helps me to slow down a little bit and to refocus on my family as well. Create space for you, just for quiet, for mindfulness, for thinking, whatever it is that you need to do that allows you to have that mental restoration and refreshment every day. Next, think about healthy eating habits. During the school year, we probably have drawers full of candy and junk and chips and drinks and whatnot, and we're just pumping ourselves full of sugar and processed food all the time. Now that you're home, or you have a little more break time, it's a great time to begin cooking. You can save a lot of money, eat a whole lot better, and have some healthy meals by cooking at home. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But find ways to make super quick, easy, healthy meals so your body can feel rested and restored too. You can't put junk into a vehicle, a performance vehicle, especially like a sports car, and expect to get great performance out of it. So for our own bodies, we have to put some healthy things in there too to make sure that our own bodies are processing and getting caught back up to where they need to be, getting ready for that next school year. Next one is physical activity. Our brains and bodies feel so much happier after workout, even if we're a little sore the next day. It's very rewarding. Find and schedule time to go lift weights, to go exercise, to use the elliptical, use a treadmill, go for a walk, a hike, a bike ride. Even pick a low-impact sport like swimming or even pickleball. These are all activities that allow you to be active and to enjoy being active at the same time. If you have kids or a loved one who likes to participate in activities, it's also a great time to really enjoy spending time with them doing it too. You don't have to do it alone. Finally, find time for rest. Go to your favorite spa. Relax by the pool. Get a cabin by the mountains or the beach, something like that, where you can just find time to slow down and unwind, to pick up a book, get your favorite audiobook, and just relax. So those have all been the steps to help make sure that you're going to have a fantastic summer break or any kind of break. And it leads us to our very, very final step, which is preparing for entering back into work. Now, I know you don't want to think about going back to work already, neither do I. But it's something we should have in the back of our minds, especially as we get closer. Now, the way I kind of let that go is that I would always pick a day before work started just to get caught up and make sure my goals were set, my mind was clear, and I knew what I needed to do. I did not want to walk into the building trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do that day. So pick a day. If it's a short break, it could be the Sunday evening or Saturday evening before the break ends. If it's over a longer period, like a winter break or summer break, it could be a week or even two before your teachers return or before you return back to work. But pick a day that gives you permission to put everything else off if you can until that day to get caught back up. So pick that time that works for you, make that a sacred time so that you can have the time that you need to make sure that you are ready to get back to school and get back to work and have a successful remainder of the school year or a successful brand new school year. When you do that, you get a strong sense of control and focus when you return, which allows things to slow down once you get back. You're not constantly responding to all the problems and issues and things that come up. You're ready. You're relaxed. You're rested. You're recovered. And now it's time to get back to work. Thank you so much for listening to the All Things Learning Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. And if you want to get a copy of that auto response email, I'll put it in the show notes below. Thanks.